Sorry.
Got it.
It's Gary V, innit? Everything's content.
No, the thing is, everything is content, and everything has to be documented.
I feel like I want someone. I feel like I need a D-Rock.
Someone to follow you around.
Yeah. I do. I want a D-Rock. I want someone who's signing on.
I think for the podcast, I feel like I need someone like Jamie. Do you watch Joe Rogan?
Who's Joe Rogan?
So he's like probably the biggest podcaster in the world. And
no, I'm trying to keep. I'm just staying in one lane at the moment because you know what it's like. You start to
deviate. It's a lot. Yeah. And he's like his guy. He's the back end guy for him. So he deals with like all the research end of things, and he does all the recording, editing, and production.
For basically.
Who? For Joe.
Who does?
Jamie. That's the guy's
okay.
name. So your D-Rock would be my Jamie.
Okay. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm learning about D-Rock. I don't even know what D-Rock looks like.
No one knows. I think that's the mystery behind it. So having someone behind the camera who no one really knows, but then they still have a character and a personality that kind of resonates through. It's really clever. Yeah.
Very clever.
I'm gonna get my secret hidden person soon as well. So
you need it. It's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Even even I can record this, but then having to upload it, edit it. It's all long.
Yeah, and I was speaking to one of my friends recently who he works in the creative industry, and he was talking about creative fatigue, and he was saying how creative fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah,
like you can, it's fun and games starting all on your own and running the ship all on your own, but there reaches a point where you definitely do need help.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? In order to expand and to take things to the next level, you always need a team. For instance, because having to do everything yourself, eventually you're going to be burnt out. You're thinking, oh gosh, like I can't keep up with this anymore. Like it's too much. It's a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And even time-wise, it's just it's just hard.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Funny enough, I feel like the last time we kind of met was around the same time last year, wasn't it? Wasn't the carnival time?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You're not going to want this in the set, are you?
I'm going to put everything in the set.
Oh, are you?
Everything goes in the set. It's cool. Is that for the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You got all the angles set up, don't you?
Not really. I don't really know you, bro. I just make it up as I go. I had an interview with Alfie. He wanted me to therapy him. Yeah. Online, like live.
Yeah, that's it.
That's like I've never done that before, but clearly, obviously, it's gonna have his say so. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I've been considering doing something like that, like a live pod. Maybe like on Instagram or something, like putting up on my Instagram live and then just having a conversation with someone just there and there.
Yeah. Bizarre.
What phone are you using for that?
Oh, nothing tech. Samsung.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm just so mindful of your time.
No, it's cool. It's cool. We've actually even started recording anyway. We've been live. Yeah, we've been live and kicking. Yeah, I try to keep us organic and as...
Talking about people like we know them, you know.
I know. But that's the funny thing about online. Like whenever you've got like content out there and someone is consistently watching your stuff, they under the assumption that they know you, or they kind of do know you because you're right. You're putting your life out there, so they end up knowing most parts of you.
Exactly.
Is that good?
That's cool.
Yeah. So what have you been up to since the last time we spoke? What's been
I finished my book.
Amazing. What's the title?
Why Love Hurts and Why Self-Love is the Key.
Oh, sick.
So I've done that.
Is that out now?
It's out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that is like getting that out on Amazon, and I have an assistant who like slays in that lane.
Yeah.
I think sometimes things sound so easy, but they are labor intensive in terms of, editing and getting everything prepared. There's so much small stuff.
Yeah, the finer details.
Yeah.
Is really,
So I was writing I'm writing an article for LinkedIn at the moment about someone.
For the actual organisation, or you're writing on LinkedIn?
Oh no, just LinkedIn for my profile. Yeah. But just trying to capture like the things that go through my mind, and I was putting down the things that I've achieved kind of like year on year out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, 2008 is something really significant.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh no, I started my book, 2019, published the book. And a part of me is like, that's significant. And I have to like catch myself and be like, it's very significant.
It's a major move, yeah.
It's very significant because it's like, it's even when you finish writing it, like you spoke about creative fatigue.
Yeah.
I'm so done with it by then.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm so done with it.
Once it's done, it's done, isn't it?
Oh,
Gosh, finally. Yeah.
And it's done, and it's so not done. That other process, and it's long. So.
But you're happy with it though?
I'm pleased it's out there. I'm really pleased it's done.
Yeah.
I'm pleased that I have like a place of reference I can reference to, like, well, you can see that in my book. Or even when I did the interview with you, what was interesting about that was I was articulating the things I was writing about.
Oh, okay.
You know, and
so
now...
to reflect and input that into the book then?
Yeah, well
right on credits now, because it is.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what happens is it goes into my mind. You're writing it goes here, and then you have a conversation, you realise it's become a part of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
And now my assistant's chopping it up to make quotes for my Instagram. So it's like, and she's just doing that randomly herself. I'm not overseeing that. So I get this surprise when I'm like, oh, right. Taken from, I'm like, what?
You're like, did I put that together?
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
It's so funny because we hardly reflect on our work a lot of the time. So we're kind of like spewing out stuff, putting out content. But then when it gets reflected back onto you, you're like, whoa, okay, so I put that together. Like that piece came from me that way. It's like me listening back to some of my podcasts. I'm like, okay, I'm taking bits for myself that I put out there myself, if that makes sense. So I might have said something that resonates with me at a later date. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It makes more sense now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or do you ever find yourself saying something and think, I know my things.
Yeah.
I slay. I slay.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really important, like being able to achieve that. And what next? I'm not really too sure, and I feel slightly embarrassed saying that because
you shouldn't though, because creativity comes at any time. Like the inspiration might hit you, I don't know, tomorrow, the day, next month, next year. You just never know when it's gonna hit you.
I think we live in a world where you're supposed to like know, like, here I want to be here, but actually sometimes when people have sort of like challenged me about not having a specific plan, when I've articulated what I do, there's a plan to it.
Yeah.
There's a loose structure to it, and so sometimes I've been listening to Jordan Peterson, and he's talking about no plan, you never know when you achieve, or you never know when you fail, and I think for me it's about a process.
Yeah.
And you never know. I'm self-employed. You just never know when that phone's gonna ring.
Yeah.
Never know what.
But at least you're active though. So the thing about being like self-employed or like running your own business or being in a creative venture is that consistency in your actions. So fair enough, you can be waiting for someone to contact you. But with me, the way I'm setting my goals now is actions instead of having like figures or stats as goals. So I'm not like, okay, by this stage I want to have this amount of subscribers, this amount of money. It's like, no, by this stage I'm going to get in touch with this person. I'm going to make sure I follow up on this email and sticking to those time schedules as goals instead of actually having figures and stats.
Beautiful. Because
figures and stats can lead you into major depression, because if it was up to me, figures and stats, I would have had 1 million subscribers by now. I would be interviewing presidents. Do you see what I mean? So it kind of puts you in a weird position.
Yeah, most definitely. And I do think, as someone who doesn't work in the system as such, who's outside of that, who obviously my clients come in and they're in that world, I feel like I've made a little bubble for myself at Key for Change where, so on my terms, I don't have a boss. Like, if I feel like having a 2-hour lunch break, I do.
You can do so,
I'll suffer for it later on, or maybe not. It just is. That's one of the gifts of what I've chosen to create for myself. But that whole KPT culture, key performance targets, has actually it's making people miserable because everything's becoming commodified.
Yeah.
And actually, as what does it mean if I have 5.2k people watch my what does it actually mean? Because actually I want to touch lives. So I think it's healthy to move away from that model because it's been sort of superimposed on us.
Most definitely, yeah.
And never got questioned.
Yeah, and it's becoming the metric of success, which is a bit weird because are you trying to make an impact or you're trying to have a perception out there. Do you see what I mean? So when I have one person message me saying, "Oh, okay, the podcast you released really had an impact on my life," I'm like, "Wow, that's a result."
Amen.
Do you know what I mean? Whilst you can end up having like 1 million people viewing your episode, but it might not have an impact on anyone, but 1 million people viewed it because there was something controversial on it, or there was something that went viral, or something happened that everyone wants to see, but it's not really making a change in anyone's life. So it's like, what is it you're trying to do? Like, what side of history are you trying to be on? Are you trying to be on the part of change, or are you trying to be on the part of just you and your egotistical idea of what success is with the metrics? So it's a strange one.
That.
Yeah.
So it's like purpose.
It's purpose, definitely.
Yeah. And I've been, like I said, been listening to a lot of Gary Vee, and that purposeful meaning and caring and being considerate is a real message I'm hearing a businessman promote.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I'm thinking, like, that's my field.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching him being like, well, that's my lane. That's what I do. So it's, to some degree, giving me permission, because I have to kind of deal with a kind of industry, a profession that's way back.
Yeah.
That are clearly not like up to time with social media and how things are shifting. So it's like, it's about that comment, someone inboxing and saying, that made a difference to me. Because you're right, you know, like, if I think about even one of my most popular videos, people are slating me for it. And it's like, but, you know, it's because it was come up and it was like an ant video. And
okay, I think I remember seeing that one on your YouTube page,
and it's like...
Was that when you had these the drug issues, or was it alcohol?
Yeah, and that was when I was kind of debating whether to go with popular topics or not. And what I could see by doing a popular news item, that my engagement was very different. But I couldn't if I couldn't make things resonate with me, I'd be very wooden on camera. And so I kind of given it up. I'm often told, like, do like Love Island and like, to sit there and consume it is I watched one episode and it's just not what I do with my time. I don't consume that, and I like to be away from it. So it's about lives, and I think that is definitely...
No, definitely. I think in the creative world, there's a tough space that I'm even finding myself in. It's like, it's being true to yourself and then trying to be the algorithm to get things out there, because everyone understands with the algorithm it's all about what's popular and what's trending at the time. So for instance, right now, if there's there's a fire, the Amazon fire, so if I make a video talking about the Amazon fire and I put that in my title as the first couple of letters, I know there's going to be searches on it and there's going to be views on it. But am I talking on it because I have genuine interest? I have, even though I should, or like I have a genuine passion to talk about it, or am I doing it because the metrics? So I get that advice as well from people where they're like, something happened today in pop culture, talk about it, put it in the title, and you're going to get tons of views. But then I'm doing it because, do you know what I mean? Whilst I might have someone super interesting that I want to have on my couch and have a discussion with, because I genuinely find that person interesting and I feel like I can learn something from that person and someone can gain value from it. Someone in my audience can gain value from it. So it's being in that space. But then I think being true to yourself and sticking to your own values, eventually that's where true success will come, because you're being honest with yourself and you're staying consistent. As long as you don't give up, eventually it will catch on. Do you see what I mean? So,
it's integrity.
100%.
You know, 100%. Like... I mean, some of my other videos, I got a video like about side chicks, and it's popular, and it's like, it's so like not where I am now. Like, I mean, you know, it raises eyebrows and stuff, or I saw that video, and it's kind of nice and weird that people remember me for that. But I think there's so much more that I've done. But ultimately, I don't have the numbers, because I think I have remained true. Because anytime I'm inauthentic, it shows. Yeah. I see it, and you know, my inner circle know it, and I'm just wooden, and you know, so I kind of like, I steer away from it. Yeah. I just have to, I just can't. You just can't pretend I'm not good at it. Yeah. It's not my lane.
Yeah. We haven't even introduced you, Keeley. So for my audience and listeners out there who is Keeley? Can you just let them know who you are? Because obviously we've rambled on and had a little catch up with us introducing you. So can you let us know who you are?
I feel like I want to say exactly what I said to you the first time.
And so you should, yeah.
Which is, I'm a spirit having a human experience.
Yeah.
And you wanted to go in on me, and I was like, oh wow, this man's
like,
gonna
what is that? Like, but I
Wow.
get it now, because I mean, since you actually said that, I've heard it from several people. I've heard it from so many people. I think we're in an enlightenment stage in life at the moment where there's so much like seeking of knowledge and understanding. So a lot of people are resonating with what you said. And at that time I was like, whoa, what is that? But now I'm hearing it more often. I'm starting to get to grips with it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting you say that, because sometimes I think to myself, I say things and sometimes I think I say them early and then I'm met with a kind of like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And then later on, people are saying it, it gets more general. And so
Yeah,
I'm starting to notice that
yeah.
about me, actually. There's things that I was doing before and I move on because I kind of move on to different stuff. And then I think, oh, wow, like maybe I was on, like, I don't know, I don't even want to say on trend, but I had foresight,
Yeah.
you know. And so that is really how I describe myself. And I think maybe the movement that we might be noticing is also something I'm noticing in my therapy room, which is about people starting to question the system, which makes me think about Alfie and his book about the system. But I'm talking about like...
Well, like governments
stats, likes, comments, should I take out I need a new car, should I take it out on finance, or actually the money that I had for a deposit, could I just get an old one and not have to then pay for 4 years for a car that I then have to give them an end deposit to own it.
It's called balloon payment or something.
You know, like I think what I see it more, maybe because I see it so intimately, that people are starting to question because, you know, when people are coming to me for help, they're and it's really weird because I don't like talk about the third eye or like you know, the system or with my clients, but they're actually bringing it to me in terms of like starting to stop and pull back and think about you know, what they're involved in, kind of chasing the dream or achieving the dream and feeling like...
Or do you think, are your clients coming to you feeling pressured? Like, do they feel like the system or changes in society in general is putting them in a place where they need to go and see a psychotherapist? Like, or is there issues that they had internally before that?
I think people are... I think with the culture, which is starting to promote, like, getting help more, mental health, it's raising awareness. People are going to their doctors to be met with exceptionally long waiting lists and then medication. And something inside of them is like, nah, I know I'm sad, but I don't think I need pills. So there's like a resistance from them to like go that way. So that is then resulting in them searching. And I mean, you know, I have lots of various clients, various backgrounds, various classes.
What do you specialise in particular?
So I think for me, what I've specialised in, I think, but it evolves. It's always a state of transition for me because something else comes out of what I do. But initially it was about love and intimate relationships and then evolved into narcissistic partners. Which then evolves into narcissistic bosses, narcissistic mother-in-laws, father-in-laws. So narcissism is always something that I'm interested in. But I'm more interested in the person who gets caught in that trap.
Oh, okay.
You see, so
how they can sort of protect themselves from people.
Yeah, well, how they learn to have boundaries, learning how to say no.
I saw your video on that. Was that yesterday that you released that or your most recent video on saying no to was it like was it partners? So females learning how to say no to men who weren't really interested in them but were just kind of using them. I think you released a video recently on something along those lines.
Well, I'm starting to do videos based on people inboxing me.
Oh, okay.
So they're direct like reactions to, you know, if someone inboxes me, like I'm happy to respond. I only my only request is that you enable me to do so in video.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hail you out, and I'm gonna tag you in it.
Yeah.
But just know that between you and I, we'll know that video is for you. I think saying no is a big deal, and I think like for me, I mean, I get criticized by men, like, why do you always target women? But if women tend to be the people who've been my clients in the majority over the years, but I believe my content speaks for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
You know, but has started from my own pain. And so I kind of find it more like it's more natural for me to holler at the ladies as such, because it just rolls off my tongue. So I think narcissism is very interesting. It's just fascinating, but I've like moved on from it. I'm interested in you. That is the hook. And we're not going to sit there session after session talking about your deadbeat partner who treats you like, you know. I'm interested in you and what it means for you to honor yourself, to regard yourself, and to sit with the consequences. And so that's where I'm at the moment.
That's interesting. In regards to the narcissism side, so I was reading. Was I reading or was I watching something? I don't know. I think I was watching something. I'm reading so much now. It's just I don't know what I was reading. I don't know what I was reading or what I was watching. But it was in relations to how narcissism is kind of harnessed in young children, and and according to the content that I was consuming, it was to do with parents overbearing their children and making their children feel more special than they are, as if the world revolved around them. I don't know if that's something in line with the work that you've done. So for instance, like if a parent has a son or whatever, just constantly reaffirming that child that they are the center of the world and everything revolves around them, and when they do grow up, that's how narcissism kind of like evolves. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that was something that I read along the line.
Well, I think for me, my knowledge of narcissism came about through working in prisons, and majority of the guys I came across were far from mollycoddled. You know, so my learning is really experiential, and then I've gone to the books to explore that, and then making sense of my own relationship with a narcissistic partner and where that took me. So I think for me, because I've worked in prisons for so long with high risk offenders, so I worked at HOP Wormwood Scrubs for 8 years. I think for me, the biggest thing was the actual trauma they've had in their lives rather than the mollycoddled. Mollycoddled is one route in, you know, so, but there's also that actually cruel and brutal things have happened to me. I siphon off my vulnerability, my caring capacity, any empathy, and what emerges is a cruel, harsh individual who's highly manipulative and can be controlling. So there's lots of roads in
that leads to it.
Not always the and what happens is they develop a strong sense of, because it's so seductive and it looks like someone who truly believes in themselves, but actually when you have a nose for it, it's a godlike complex. It's a God complex.
And once you have that, you're in big trouble, because everyone else becomes subordinates, don't they?
Well, once you have that, you're in big trouble. Well, they don't think it's a problem because everybody else is the problem.
Everybody else is the problem,
so that's the key. We perceive it as a problem, and they don't necessarily, because, and if you think about it, like from a survival mechanism of an individual in a traumatic, hostile environment, they've segmented off part of themselves. They've compartmentalized, almost eradicated any sense of sensitivity.
Wow.
So the harsh, and the capacity to be in their own world is actually fundamental to how they've been able to survive often very difficult life circumstances.
But how do they come out of that situation? And so let's say you are this individual that you've gone through all of these traumatic situations, and now it's made you this narcissistic individual. Like, because first of all, they don't realize it. So how do they come to the realization, or how would the process be for them to come to the realization that there is an issue?
Well, they don't come to me.
Yeah.
They don't like people like me.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
Yeah, because I see masks.
Yeah.
I see through masks. So, and if often with the narcissist, the mask is a very elaborate, well-oiled machine. So if you're able to see the chink in the armor or throw a statement, for example, when you said that, what did you actually mean? Or I've noticed you tend to do this, this, this.
Yeah.
And that has an impact on me. And I'm just wondering why you do that.
Why you do that, yeah.
So what you're doing there is you're catching them with the fingers in the cookie jar.
But doesn't that make them flip? It's like, whoa, what do you mean? What are you attacking me for?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the type. So for me, if like narcissistic individuals, if they tend to come to therapy, it would usually be for some alternative reason. For example, to save a marriage, because potentially they think the marriage is going to be the divorce is very costly.
So it's something beneficial to them again.
There's always an agenda, you know, and I know when they're there because they ain't coming back.
Yeah.
You know, they stay for 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting couples as well. So, and I have to be very careful about that because I don't want to leave if it's a male, if the man's the narcissist, you know, I don't want to leave the woman vulnerable because she's under the spell.
Yeah.
So, and that is one of the reasons why, because I can see like your questions is I'm more interested in the client and their process in terms of how they tolerate, justify, ignore, how they cope. Because they're the people that come to me.
Yeah.
The empaths, the sensitive hearts, the care bears, the considerate people, the givers of these worlds. Those are my clients. Yeah.
Because I remember the first time we spoke, you did say that there's a case for empaths always falling for these type of individuals. Because, is it because they're looking for someone to care for, someone they find troubled? Or is it something that they fall in line with, not knowing that the person is slightly troubled?
Well, I like to think about it like how I think about the world, like opposites. You know, opposites attract. Paula Abdul did a song called Opposites Attract way back in the 80s. And it always reminds me of that. Like, so we're like bipolar opposites. And actually from a if you just look at it, it's quite a beautiful thing. Someone's quite harsh, is someone quite nice. And so,
it seems nice on paper, as they would say.
From an observer perspective. But we always know the empath will come off well, usually gets decimated or can question their sanity, and you know, we also know that people have murdered, you know, so I think there's a new law about emotional abuse being a crime.
Okay.
And some sons are trying to get their mother freed because she killed their father.
Wow.
So it can be a massive pull, and empaths have a desire to help. They see the best in people. We can justify behaviours because we know their backstory. Yeah. You see, so you see how you were sensitive to, were they mollycoddled by their mothers? You know, he wasn't loved. He was locked in a cupboard as a child. That's why he's like that. You see, so empaths have to be very aware of. We have to be aware of our own egos. Yeah. And I think we don't look at that. So you just
diagnosed me as an empath now, because the way that I viewed it, which I can't understand, because I mean, whenever I come across individuals that are troubled, I always try to figure out like why they're troubled, not considering, and you tend to sometimes forget about the victims of their troubles. So you think, okay, if you solve the person with their troubles, you're solving everything else, but not knowing that there's someone else underneath who's probably extremely suffering from that. So.
But I think it's a beautiful thing, you know. I think sometimes you just have a heart for that. You know, it's like I worked with sex offenders when I was in probation, and you know, when you would hear their backstory, it was like it was difficult. And I think the most difficult part for me working with sex offenders was I was disgusted with myself that I could have empathy towards some of the things I was hearing. I had to go to see my private supervisor about that. My concern that my empathy could reach that far because I knew the backstory. And so like that's when I really knew I had a gift that I was unsettled by. Keeley was unsettled by it, and I was able to offer that. And so I think, you know, if you have a heart to care, you have a heart to care. Because this is a video I put out yesterday, which is to care is not a curse. Because I often hear that from my clients or my groups, like I feel like having a good heart is a curse, and I'm here to teach you, like it's a gift. You just don't know it's a gift, and because you don't know how to protect it. And that's what I'm here
How does one protect it though? Because I've heard that statement loads of times as well. Oh, I care too much, and it always ends up with me being hurt. Like people always constantly making those statements. So how does one care but still protect themselves from being hurt?
Well, one is boundaries. You know, so then you have to have like, you know, this is not acceptable. And if somebody breaches that, let's say the narcissist, then there's a consequence for that.
Yeah.
But if you sweep that under the rug, you just allowed someone to take liberties with you.
Yeah.
So that is really fundamental. But also you have to have a check on your own ego. Because sometimes I've wanted more for people than they've wanted for themselves. Now, this is my agenda here.
Yeah.
Because you're all right doing what you're doing. You're all right on crack and keep coming out, in and out.
Yeah.
I've got the issue. I'm gutted when I used to see someone back on the wing. He's like, you're right, Key. How's it going?
I'm like, why are you back here?
I'm vexed. I'm like, bruv, what you doing here, man? I'm animated.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's going to the gym. He's meeting his mates.
Yeah.
So what's that about me? And so that's our own ego. So we also have to learn about our own hopes and our fantasies. Because a lot of us have hopes and fantasies about how things should be. And as long as we're living in hope and fantasies about how things should be, we miss reality.
Yeah.
And reality is really important. And that's about accepting people as they are. And I think my clients, people I've worked with, really struggle because they believe, they see the good in people and they think they can change, and so they don't accept them as they are and go on mission campaign, I'm going to change him, and they never declare it. I'll name it though.
Yeah.
I can name it because I've been there.
Yeah.
So I can name it in terms of myself. I've worked on myself. Like I have no problem with self-disclosure with regards to that part of my life because it's historic and I'm through it. It's been my greatest. It's been the catalyst for my career. But you believe if I love him enough, do enough, care enough, and kind enough, hold it down enough, be polite enough, read a little bit on YouTube, or, you know, I'll find a way.
Yeah.
Sis, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that acceptance is the loss of hope. And I think people really struggle with that because they have a fantasy in their mind's eye of how it could be, or when they get the little modicums of validation or a really nice day or an afternoon, they cling to that.
So yeah, we're back now. He's good.
He's good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when they tell me things like, you know, when it's good, it's good.
But when it's bad, it's hella bad. Yeah. You're left with bruises and potentially in an ambulance. Yeah.
So what's that mean? Is that like, so what does that mean? So you don't want steady? Oh no, because steady is boring.
Yeah.
Steady is consistent, and you like excitement, and that is the ego.
Yeah.
And that is what I assist people with pulling out. If they're prepared to stop banging on about what he's done. I'm going to turn the mirror on you, and we're going to look at you and what you actually get out of that relationship, which is quite like confusing for people because they're so comfortable and articulate. They've watched the videos, the YouTubes, they've bought the books. And I think they're like, it's quite a jolt to start looking at self, because that's what happens for empaths. We are more inclined to rescue and want to save people, and often that means that we don't have to do us.
Yeah. I was speaking to my friend yesterday. He was actually on a podcast, and he was like, one of the most important things he's learned in recent times is to be selfish. Like, and not being selfish as in with like he's giving, but in terms of like his health. So if he's in a bad situation, sometimes he has to draw himself out because he realizes that he can't potentially save everyone, and he can only do better for others if he's healed within himself and he's achieved within himself. Then he's able to give more and to do more. So he was like, once, because he was at one point he was always a giver, like time, giver of his energy, giver of his finances, and he found out he was becoming extremely drained by this, and he was unable to help people. He was unable to provide.
He was unable to help himself.
Yeah, he's unable to help himself, and he's not able to help as many people as he thinks he's potentially helping. So taking a step back and helping himself and recovering and healing mentally, financially, and physically, he's able to do better for the world. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the challenge. I do a video called like, what is healthy selfishness? And you know, like the opposite of selfish is selfless. But then I think my assistant used a hashtag recently which was like, self-care is not selfish. And it really is, because often if we think about, for example, a narcissist, and maybe the example I've given is one who's had a traumatic childhood, usually the empath has usually had some form of trauma too, often, not always, that has resulted in them giving away to others what they've always needed for themselves. So they are then that person they never had at the end of the phone to pick up and say, this is going on for me. They've always desired it, they've never had it. And so now what they do is they've given it away so abundantly, they're often depressed. They've put themselves in situations where they're like, oh my God, how come when no one's here when I need someone? They're like perplexed. But that was because we got ourselves in a dynamic of like givers. As a giver, we need takers. Because two givers, I've been in a coffee shop with a giver and the two of us are arguing about who's going to pay.
Who's going to pay,
You see me?
That's how I feel like when I go with my Asian boys. Everyone's like, I'm paying, bro. And I'm just in the background be like, yo, you don't deal with it.
Cool. It's war. It's absolute war. So, and you go out with a taker, they don't even stop at the till. Like, they've gone, they've chilled. They're munching.
Or they're just sitting there on their phone like, oh, you gonna handle this, bro? Like,
it's not even a thing. It's the assumption. And so that's the ego of the givers, which people don't really talk about. What do you get from giving? What does it do for you?
There's a deep personal boost about giving.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I know people that whenever they've done something for someone, they endlessly talk about it. Oh, it's like, do you know what I've done for my man? Do you know what I've done for this person and so forth? And I'm like, okay, like, cool, you done it, and what? You want the whole world to know you done it. You might as well make a video about it and put the person's name on it. But it's an ego thing.
Most definitely.
It's a booster. People think they're doing it, they're being virtuous, they're being good, but at the end of the day, it's for themselves, really.
Yeah, and that's ego. And I am, as a psychotherapist, I'm very much aware of my own narcissism. Like, actually, it makes me feel great when a client sends me a picture of something that they've achieved because it's gone out of their comfort zone. And I do ask people, send me pics. I don't post them, but I love to see it. It boosts my day. But I am very much aware of that dynamic, and so I have to make sure I keep that in check. What is that about? I often talk to my clients about the reason why I buy water for them. What do I get from buying my clients water? Why don't I just, use a filter?
What do you get from that?
What do I get? So I think it kind of links back to, like, my mum always says, I have a black mum, I have a white dad. I grew up with my black mother in an estate in northwest London. That you always have to go extra hard as a black child. My mum referred to me as a black child. And so I think coming in, qualifying as a therapist who was brown, the only brown around in like my area, I always felt everything I did with regards to my room and my office, I went hard because I felt like that inferiority complex I had to over
compensate,
most definitely, and is my water a part of that process? Most definitely. But I'm woke about it, and I can talk about it. So I know what the process is. Do I choose to go Costco and still buy water? Yes, I do, because it's a choice. It's conscious. When I wasn't conscious of it, it was more disturbing to me. But actually, my inferiority complex I use to my advantage. I realize actually there's an actual gift in that. That hunger or the need to overdo it, because I have offices where I rent out therapy rooms to other therapists. So then they offer them to their clients, and they love that there's all this extra bits and bobs. They're like, this little sweets.
Where did this idea come from?
There's like this woman's going like over the top. And is it my stuff? Is it my history? Is it about feeling inadequate historically in the past? Most definitely. But now it's a special touch.
Do you still have that complex though? So being in the therapy realm, so as a black lady or brown lady, as you like to refer to yourself as, do you still feel that complex in terms of like your race?
I think what it's taught, I think when I first sort of qualified and you looked around and, I was also like, where I trained was very middle class establishment, Metanoia and Ealing. And so it was far more costly than other colleges. So it also meant that the people who were there were far more, were from affluent parts. So like my mentor and like my guardian angel is Esme, and, she's a prominent woman, and so it exposed me to people who I wouldn't have had any exposure to, and like I would naturally shrink because like before that I was working at Ikea on like the checkout line, telling people to leave their yellow bag behind, or telling them that actually you need to go and pick up your wardrobe, it won't be delivered to your house, you know, and them getting really annoyed, like they thought they could just pay and walk away, don't work like that. It's like you have to do it yourself. So like working like that really was been like instrumental. So it broke me to some degree because I felt inadequate. I felt like I'd snuck in the back door. I had lawyers, executives on the BBC were there, and you know, like I'm like, whoa, how did I get in? And they could write really well. They'd been to Oxford, you know, houses, multiples.
The imposter syndrome kicking in now.
What? Big time. I'm sitting there like, how did I get in here? And that's I mean, my spiritual relationship had been building for many years from being in prison. So that's when I heard the other voice say, you're meant to be here. And I always regard that voice as like my spiritual, like when I'm in situations and Keeley struggling, that part of me is like, you're meant to be here.
Yeah, you deserve this. You worked your way.
Indeed. And what I realized is, yes, essay-wise, they can chop it up and put it on paper, but experientially, I was very good at what I did.
Yeah, you had a real life experience, didn't you? So
most definitely, and couldn't write in that academic way because you know the school we went to, we weren't taught about, as my brethren Danielle says, like grammar. wasn't a part of what we were taught. It was either full stop or comma. You just decided which one. Today I'm gonna do that one.
If you don't want to take a breath, you just continue.
Carry on, man. You can get it. Work it out.
Yeah.
So, and that's still something I feel inadequate about. You know, I endeavour to get my work proofread. I do have an editor, but sometimes I put stuff out. It is what it is. You know, if I choose to, I can. Do I have to? I don't have to. It's my. It's my choice. So definitely, and my inferiority complex can still arise at different times. It may rear its head again.
But do you think that's because of you though, or is there situations that's putting you into that corner where it kicks in, like, or is it like a mental battle that you're having with yourself?
I think it's historical, So like I'm mixed. My dad's middle class. I grew up in the state. I have siblings from a different mom. They're like grew up in the suburbs and went private school. So I think some of my like that inferiority complex was fed through that experience. But as a grown adult now, it's my choice. Well, it's some of it's going to be unconscious. So you have to try to catch what when I'm doing this. What is that about? What is that about? So you have to catch your behaviour because it's unconscious. It's not always like, oh yeah, I know why. I keep going back to Derek who won't commit to me.
It's always a Derek, isn't it?
Well, I think Derek's my new dude at the moment who I keep naming, bless him. So it's something I have to be very. I think I started my practice in 2012. It's now 2019. What I am really growing into is the gift of my authenticity, and I really don't think I think if I can truly harness that, so like on my Insta stories, trying to do more stories about the walk as an entrepreneur, having my own business, rather than just like the psychology stuff, but like the psychology of what it takes. So like that's a whole nother story. I could talk about like. I don't use the term mental health, but how to become your greatest self. I could talk about that, the blocks, depression, anxiety, how that is a sign. I believe it's a sign that you're out of sync with your authenticity. But a parallel process with that is my journey. And that is a whole nother story. And my coach, Nat Lou, is very keen, like how come you've not spoken? Like, where's that story? But because of my industry, which it talks about minimal self-disclosure. How
comes though? Is that to not put your clients off, or what is that? because ideally your life story should be like an inspiration to others, and that's why I feel transparency is such a key thing. But I could understand why maybe in your industry there is that weird stigma about like self-disclosure.
And it's like, it makes me question my like, it makes me feel comfortable putting things like maverick on my business card, because I think I'm a game changer, and I didn't mean to be. It's not like I signed up and thought, oh, let me challenge this industry. But at the end of the day, my biggest selling point is like, I'm a damn great therapist because of my journey. Yeah. It's not book to me. Like I hear things now and I'm like, oh, I never knew that was a thing. Like I do that. Like, I was listening to this Gary Vee video the other day talking about you've got to learn to accept no's. Like, I've been accepting no's from a long time. Like, and I'm like, I always tell my friends, like, they're like, how do you ask for stuff when we go out? I'm like, because I'm not scared of no. If they say
what's
no,
the worst thing that can happen to you?
They say no.
No, you go about your business. Yeah.
If you can handle no, ask, and it works for me. So like, I am learning that I must slay in my lane. I need to stay in my lane. And if that means that I'm not affiliated to governing bodies because I feel restricted, because my biggest asset is like, like, I know, like, if you've been in those dynamics with a situation where you love a narcissistic man, and someone, like, I know why I get it. I've been there. I understand that process. And the challenge is most people humiliate people for doing it, which is why, for example, women, we go silent about it. We're going back, we're linking in. We're trying to manage it on our own. We think if we just like, if we tiptoe around it, we're horny, back on the dick, and like, it's okay. And for me, that's really important because that was my journey. And it was the judgment and the isolation. And I get it, not everybody's got the empathy for it because people love you, your friends love you. But that isolation is what makes it a whole lot worse. Yeah. Definitely. And so that's what I'm about, really. I'm about saying to people, like, leaving toxic relationships is very complex. And people seem to resonate with that message. Yeah.
No, definitely. I think the thing about being a maverick nowadays is that as a maverick, you start off as like the outsider, like the cuckoo person who no one wants to deal with. And then I think if you push through and you're consistent and you reach a point where people start understanding, and then you reach a point where people start following you now, it's like, oh, okay, you showed us the way now, okay, let's all head that way because it worked. Do you know what I mean? Eventually. So
I know
being a maverick and standing out is a great way of like really and truly getting your message out there and being your own individual instead of just conforming to whatever it is that people's expectations of you is. So
yeah, but it's like wearing a pair of tight new high heels, new stilettos. Like you've got to break into that behavior. And sometimes it's a bit like, the ladies, we buy shoes and we try it on in the carpet at home because if it hurts too much, we take it back.
Okay, is that what you guys do?
You have to try it on at home. Well, I don't wear heels. I don't mess around with that. I'm a wedge girl. Yeah. I don't need my weight to distribute it on one little pin. That's a problem there. So you try, I always think of it as like a pair of shoes. Like if it hurts too much, try it on in the carpet at home. You take back the shoe. And new behavior is like that. But like the process to be authentic, which is why so many people are inauthentic, which is why so many people are depressed and anxious, is tough. You experience rejection, isolation, you question yourself, you doubt yourself, but there's this thing in you that just won't let go. And for me, that's why spiritual was the way to go, because walk by faith, not by sight, was like, I like that. I could work, and acutely I know that my intention is good. Whether my ego gets something out of watching people help, whatever, fundamentally, like, my intention is good. Because I know the shifts and the changes I've made in my life have had impact on my children, and others, and people who come and see me. Like, for me to do the work on myself, to push through, to be my authentic self, like, it's worth it. Even though there's a pinch point. I had a beautiful client today who was in a beautiful dress. And she was wearing a beautiful dress last week. And I said to her, where are you going? She says, why are you saying that to me? You told me that you dress up to come to your office. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
She's quoting the stuff back, which is always really beautiful, and she looked lovely.
And it worked for her as well.
And I'm like, it just like humble is so touching. Like there's nothing like it to know that you have that impact. It's priceless. Even if I'm broke and I'm struggling to think about how am I going to pay myself this month, or all them fear statements. Just like, we're here. We got this far. Walk by faith. Like, that's the great antidote.
No, definitely. I mean, touching on what you were saying in regards to like people, the tiredness and the weight upon yourself when you're trying to like basically impersonate other people, does that play a part in the so-called disarray that we tend to see nowadays in social media? It tends to feel like everyone is down, everyone is out, everyone is kind of battling something. Is that because we're being perpetuated with all of these visions and ideas of other people's like lives and these falsehood of how things are supposed to be, and then we're trying to now like impersonate that? Is that what's causing like the disarray online? And is there reality in that? Because I was speaking to one of my friends and he was saying that he doesn't think, he doesn't believe that the world is in such a bad state as social media would like to, or the media in general would like to portray it to be. You know what I mean?
It's weird. I was talking to Alfie about this. And I want to thank you for doing the podcast with him, because you did it with him. I shouted him out, and like,
that's how links are made. Yeah, Alfie's an amazing dude, man. Alfie's
he's got a big heart.
Definitely got a big heart. Yeah, he's always willing to share his knowledge. It's just like freely, just like whatever you want, take it. And that's what it's supposed to be, though. If you acquire something, a skill, knowledge, or have an experience, the next thing to do is to share it and to pass it on.
Well, you say it so flippantly, but actually, that's not the way. People have been commoditizing that.
Yeah, but that's how it's supposed to be, though. Like, I feel definitely.
I think that's the trend. That's the. Well, I hope it's not a trend, but that's what we're seeing coming back.
Yeah. Because
that's about community, reciprocity, relationships, caring for your fellow human, and you will benefit from that in unexpected ways that you could never ever imagine. Yeah. So you were asking me about social media, and as I said to Alfie, you create your newsfeed, you know. Whoever you follow is on your newsfeed because you chose to follow that hashtag or that person. So if, for example, you clock that actually I feel bad when I pick up my phone, and I write about this in my book, Why Love Hurts, audit your phone. Audit the device.
Yeah.
Start following you, Chucky online. I did a podcast with a sister who does podcasts about natural hair. You know, I don't have that issue. I don't have supermodels that I fall so I could feel inadequate about being a size 16. I don't follow that because I choose. When I go on the train, if they offer me a metro, I say no thank you. I don't want that content in my system. My dad, bless him, I don't know, I tell my kids they need to take that thing off his phone. He's got a news alert. Jesus Christ. This man knows everything going down, and it's all negative. Yeah. You know, you listen to LBC, you listen to it. It's on every 15 minutes. You're getting a dose of that, and that creates your reality, as David Icke talks about, because I've been listening to him in doses lately. If you can control perception, you can control people. Yeah. And that's the beauty of the internet, because on my way down here, I've been listening to 3 hours of Gary Vee. And that's going in. You know, I've chosen. I said to my younger clients, if I went on your YouTube now, what's going to be on your homepage?
Definitely. It says a lot about people.
It says a lot about you.
It definitely does, yeah.
Because remember, just now, as my dad sits at home with his smart TV from John Lewis, he's like, how'd you find YouTube again? Dad ain't sitting down, and he's 70. He ain't watching 1, 2, 3, 4. That back in the day. He likes playing investigators. He like that one. After that, he want to watch a little bit of Dire Straits. You know what I'm saying? So we are creating that. And yes, there are challenges for younger people who are, you know, influential. I definitely agree, but there is also a very different freedom that we can have now in terms of choosing. And I am recommending Gary Vee to my clients, and I'm surprised, because I'm like, I didn't think I'd be going down this like alternative route with them. But what I can see is there's so much of what they're saying, like, you know, like parents and how they're trying to force their children to do things so that they can brag to their friends.
Yeah.
Like I see a load of that.
Especially in the African community, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Asian communities as well. I have that pressure in mind because it was like where I grew up, it was acceptable to like not do particularly well. It was acceptable if you had a job at Ikea. I think, you know, to some degree, I think people find it quite odd that I would leave even like my probation job.
Yeah.
Like people find like, how would you leave a good government job with your good pension?
Secure job, yeah.
I was like, that security was making me insecure.
Yeah.
That's when I knew that security was definitely making me insecure. So I think we choose.
Yeah, 100%.
We choose victim or victor.
We do choose as well, but then on the other hand as well, a lot of the big tech companies as well play a major part in it, because one of the stats I've been realizing a lot recently is that negative news and negative content, it breeds engagement. So for instance, if I put out there something wild that someone's done, everyone's going to engage with it. So Facebook and all these other like various like mega players in the field, they tend to push a lot of that because that brings more engagement and traffic onto their platforms, which is dangerous on their hand as well. So they should have a sense of responsibility, and we should take on ourselves as individuals as well to stand up against that, because history tells us that negative content, it kind of enables them to control our emotions. You see what I mean? In the moment that someone's controlling your emotions, they're controlling your decision making and every move you make, therefore. So they have a responsibility to play in that as well, and as part of us as well, taking our individual responsibility and staying away from that and auditing our social input and output. You know?
But ultimately, we're responsible for our own lives, and I think one of the challenges, you know, for people is taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
I stopped taking newspapers a long time ago, but maybe I'm a foresighted person. But I realized that actually, you know, consuming that was making me doubt my dream. Like, I wouldn't be able to leave my job. So that's the challenge of self-responsibility. And come on, bad news sells all the time. If I go on TripAdvisor to look at something, if I see 20 stars, I'm looking for the one with 1 star.
1 star, yeah.
Like, we catch that in ourselves. If I could catch that in myself and laugh, I'm like, why you never read the 20 ones that were good?
Yeah,
why are you reading the 1 star?
Yeah, because you want to know if that one little star overrides all the other 20s. That weird human element of us wanting to know, oh my gosh, what was the bad thing that really happened?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, I had a video the other day, and I've been paying to boost it, and one person put, it was called, you know, leaving toxic relationships, why it's so hard, and a person put a poo emoji. This video is poo, and I felt my like knee-jerk response was and then higher self caught me, which is like level that, level. So I just left it. In the morning I came back with a question. Well, what would your ideas be about it then?
Yeah.
And the response that came back lacked gravitas, lacked thoughtfulness, there's no point, there's no place to go. So it's like, you know, I get it, I do it myself, I am human, but I think that's the beauty of what you're doing, you know, like, what I do is that we are provoking thought. Yeah,
most definitely.
We're provoking thought. Yeah. So, you know, who knows? And that is the challenge with the internet. So it's very interesting. There's a film called Transcendence with Johnny Depp. Okay. Which looks at them shutting down the internet. Yeah. Because of the amount of power it has. Yeah. Because people are choosing, you see. So, and recently I was in the gym and it flashed up on the television. I was subjected to television because I was in the gym. And it talked about, for the first time in Britain, people are subscribed to online channels more than they are.
Oh yeah. I mean, I spend more time on the internet than I do watching TV. And if I'm watching TV, it's just I've got in the background playing music videos on YouTube again. So it's not like I'm actually watching actual terrestrial television. Like, no. I don't see no point of that.
So who's going to pay Ant and Dec? You know, at 7:00 on a Saturday night when we're supposed to be. That's what they used to. That's where the money goes for advertising. The
internet's taking all
but the
power.
People are deciding. The people are voting with their own feet, and I think that's exciting. But if we're all starting to change our perceptions, as you said, like I said, human having a spirit having a human experience, and now you're hearing that more commonly, does that suggest something? Whether people are becoming more woke, we're starting to question a little bit, and I like the idea of that. But I also know the system benefits from us not being so woke, so that we can go to take the tablets. The big companies make their money, and all that comes with the pharmaceutical industry that benefits from that and keeps creating more and more illnesses.
I think that's the dangers of censorship online as well, because when they're doing that, it's like they're almost saying, okay, we realize that you guys are doing something here now that's potentially going to affect us, so it's like we don't want more of it because it's becoming dangerous and it's hurting our pockets. But one of the weird things about the internet,
but I'm just gonna pause you, I'm so keen to say this, where if you look at Nipsey Hussle, Dr. Sebi, you know, Nipsey got me thinking of got me into the Dr. Sebi, and then listening about how he died when he's talking about natural remedies, and then you start to you know, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's one to muse upon, no?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's one to seriously muse upon.
I'm a big conspiracy theory fan. I like them. Like, I like engaging.
I love them.
Yeah, I like engaging in them, but I think a lot of the times now, everything is being considered a conspiracy, just because when we don't have clear-cut answers, and even if we do have clear-cut answers, it's like, no, but potentially there is a bigger power in the background. But whenever there's individuals who are trying to push something which is for the good, that's when I start questioning it. Do you see what I mean? It's like, how can Dr. Sebi, for instance, how can someone who's trying to push something for the good be then put down, or whatever happened to him? Do you see what I mean? That's when I start really questioning. I'm like, gosh, okay, who's really at play here? Like,
yeah, it's a little bit too convenient, isn't it? And just even just looking at the things that Nipsey Hussle had achieved, what he was doing, and then you think about how he was taken out, it's just one to, as a song from the 90s go, things to make you go,
Yeah.
Things to make you go,
Yeah.
Maybe you're too young for that. Clearly you are. You might have to Google that. But it's one of those things to make you go.
Google is an extension of the human body now, so I'm gonna Google it, and it's an extension of me. So I consider that as me being part of the community.
Yeah.
But can you tell me a bit about the book? So why is love hard? What's the book telling us? And what should people look out for in the book?
Why love hurts? It's
why love hurts?
Why
yes.
love hurts? I think it's a really beautiful title, because love is such a beautiful thing, and then why love hurts? It's like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I think hopefully that's the word.
That's the word. Yeah.
Not right. Yeah. It's an oxymoron, and the passion behind that is because I see it so many times again, and why people want to give up on love, or they kind of think that it will never come their way, because they have a very siloed concept of love. One that's been often, the fundamentals have been inspired by Disney. When we were in
fairy tales and romance.
When we were at our most supple stage of development, 0 to 7 years. And, depending on the trauma, depending on what that individual's been through, depending on how they were raised, how they were loved, birth order, a whole manner of events, that has a massive consequence for them in their adult relationships. So for me, intimate relationships are a window into who you are, and how you've come to be who you are, and how you conceptualize yourself. So in that book, I explain why love hurts, and that ultimately we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and that maybe we even need to question the notion of love.
Yeah.
Because romantic love is only one form of love, and there's so many things that you can fall in love with. Nature, and I'm saying that so reluctantly, I'm a hood chick, I never grew up thinking, let me look at that flower and how loving it is, what I'm saying, However, as my my thinking's evolved, I've subscribed to Nat Geo over the years, and marveled at Earth and the universe, and I see love in a much broader concept. Like, what I do as a career is absolute love, like I get it back. Like being at my office and hearing all 3 rooms occupied, different people having therapy, I feel loved. Like that to me is utter love, because it all evolved out of my darkest hour.
Yeah.
In terms of like the trauma I went through and the mayhem. So now, like, I've harnessed that adverse experience for the greater good of others, and now I benefit in such an abundant way. Like, I'm very privileged. Or when the client sends me a picture of them going outside their comfort zone, or the client today in a beautiful frock who's like there's nothing more. Like, someone today commented, like, I'm so glad I found you and I'm following you on the gram. Like, who knew that it would, when I took the untrodden path, who knew it would get me to this point? So I'm getting so cozy in my own lane now that I understand, I get it backwards. As Kierkegaard says, life can only be understood backwards but must be lived forwards.
Amazing.
So here I am now, like, fully, like, maturing into my own identity, and fully in, like, just like embracing my uniqueness, and that I will never fit in with my kind of colleagues, counselor colleagues, people, because I was never meant to, because it's that conformity that would have meant I would have been removed from my authenticity, and my authenticity is the key. And if it's key for Keeley, bruh, be lyrics today. You got bars there, Then one can only assume what is personal is universal. And that is one of the reasons why I talk about my journey.
Sick.
Because I've got a handle on it. A lot of people haven't. And if my industry and the power dominant group that sit on panels there sell me I must be mute, and then I'm scratching my head because I don't have any clients, and I've got my greatest asset, which is my story, which I have to be mute about, then you know what? I'd let go of it.
100%.
I'll let go of it.
It would be a major injustice if you didn't.
Come on. I'm happy to let go of it because it's spiritual and it's bigger than me. It's through me, but it's not about me. And I know that because I'm seeing so many different people who wouldn't come to me for help get help, like through Key for Change, through people I know, or might make a referral. And I'm like, and I'm not precious. I'm not like, I must have a client. Like, you know, like if that client's not right for me, I'll put them on to somebody who I think would best fit them. I'm not desperate. Even if my bank balance, like, I'm not desperate. Like, I'll eat. I got this far. So I'm not going to fret about that. But that is the key. I think that's one of the secrets to life.
Amazing. And I definitely think people should check out the book. I'm going to check it out myself as well, most definitely.
I hope so.
But I also believe that, I mean, you being you and you being unique in who you are and what your story is, resonates with certain individuals who need to see someone like you. So you're always going to be like in abundance in terms of clientele, but obviously you just have to get out there and let those people see you and find you, because there's people that probably feel more comfortable approaching you or speaking to you about certain subjects than it would someone else that they don't really resonate with.
Yeah, I mean, I was interviewed this week, so I'm a member of the Black and Asian Therapist Network, Barton, and Eugene Ellis, who's the founder, recommended that Therapy Today call me with regards to black clients, because they're doing an article about black people going to therapy and that we don't. And I thought I was privileged for the opportunity, and I was able to talk about, well, actually, you know, therapy is generally regarded as a middle class pursuit. And a lot of my black clients are middle class. You know, so like that this whole myth that black people are just black people, as if there's no, like, as if there's not Waitrose shoppers and Aldi shoppers. Or we could go Aldi or Waitrose, and like as if there's no
we're
class
boxed in,
as one. So it's like having those talks to like educate, to make people aware that, and actually it's not just middle class people, because I think with my diversity in terms of like coming from the ends, and then now I live in the suburbs, and that, you know, navigating those worlds with a black parent or a white parent, class issues, I think I'm really privileged that I seem to resonate with lots of different people, which is hard for my coaches who are always like, who's your target market? Who's your target market?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't really like. If I look at my book, I'll be like, well,
yeah.
It's very.
What do they expect you to say though? Like,
oh well, it's going to be affluent, disposable incomes, and actually that's not necessarily true because people come and want to put things on credit cards or find that like or I respect like people who reach out to me who are like, this is what I can afford. Like, would you be able to help me? Like, I have because that's the sort of thing I would have done when I just started out, and I needed that because I didn't have access to professionals or like, so I have a great regard for that, and with the way my brain creatively works, we'll always find a way. We'll 100%. Find a way.
Yeah, you definitely will do.
Find a way.
So before we wrap up today, I've got a few questions for you, and this is obviously in terms of like helping my viewers and listeners out there. So what are some of the practical things like we can do as individuals to self-empower? So like to empower ourselves.
Audit your phone.
Yeah. I've heard, do you know that's actually a great one because this ain't the first time I've heard it, because I know that now phones are a major part of what we are and what we do as a society.
Bro, we don't go nowhere without our phone.
It's with us 24/7 in the shower, in the loo, wherever we go, we're with our phones everywhere. Yeah. Exactly. When it's not charged, we come in with like looking for sockets. Yeah.
Coffee shops have now. You've just got the USB ports. Like, audit your phone.
Yeah, audit your phone. Definitely.
Audit your phone. It's no joke. Like, if Bob was dark to you and treated you like rubbish and you still want him back, block it. You're not blocking Bob from you, you are blocking you from Bob. Like, block feature works for self-care too.
Yeah.
As well.
So rinse out the block feature, yeah?
Rinse out the block feature. Let him see a silhouette. Leave WhatsApp groups is another one. WhatsApp, the 2 blue ticks. I mean, even just like I could dissect so much of it from like WhatsApp and like even WhatsApp groups, online, offline. Like, it does people's heads in. It really does. And actually, as annoying as it is, we have to take responsibility for our well-being.
Yeah.
We have to question that because when I just let my phone just be as it was and like or felt inadequate because people were like, oh no, you shouldn't be press block, you should be able to cope, and so I'd be like, all right, well that makes me feel inadequate, so I'll leave it open. When I did that, I'd feel anxious. When that name flash up on my phone, sweat fills my brow.
They are traumatic. They're weird things, aren't they? Yeah. I mean, the moment you send a message to someone, you're always there engaging and waiting for that message to come through. And until you get that message, you're not filled with like the euphoria of, yes, like I've got it now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
What's happened? Or they're online, why haven't they responded? Like, these are just small examples. So I would definitely say auditing our phones is really, And firstly, the first thing I talk about this in my workshop, so I have a workshop called Feel Loved, is look at the last 10 people in your phone and think about which one of those, if any, make you feel depressed or anxious.
This is the last 10 people you communicated with.
Yeah. Or check your WhatsApp or whatever, but check 10 somewhere on your device. And do they make you feel depressed or anxious? Then another part of the workshop is that we do a body exercise because the body keeps the score. Body's a truth teller, which is when you see that name on your phone, where does it impact you on your body?
If it's hitting you in your heart.
Your heart? Do you get sweat beads? Do your palms go funny? Or do you take a breath? You're not sure what to do? Like, get clear with yourself. So, this is all self-awareness. This is about becoming self-aware rather than just being just reacting. Yeah. Because the more we can slow down, question, that stimulus gap is where you can create the self-awareness. So you don't just do the knee-jerk. Because it's the knee-jerk, the rote behaviours that often keep us in vicious cycles. Yeah, so blocker, yeah?
Yeah.
I told you, yeah?
I've got a couple of blockings to do then.
What, bro?
Everybody's getting blocked after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Keeley, I really appreciate that. It's been amazing to catch up again. I know last time we caught up, it was around carnival season as well.
Oh,
so I remember I was speaking to your daughter about carnival.
Carnival.
It was just after carnival,
yes,
yeah.
Because she was waved.
Yeah, your daughter was waved. Yeah, last time. Yeah, she was just
sleeping.
sitting there quietly, like, we're like
Like
okay,
an angel.
How was carnival? She's like, it's alright. It was just
yeah,
Are you going this year?
Most def.
I'm
going with my Bridget and Danielle. We went to school together, Park Lane in Wembley.
Sick.
And she's got me to buy a bag, a drink thing, and a t-shirt. So I've never done that before.
Yeah, so you're going with the full shebang?
I'm going behind a van, a truck.
You're on the float?
There's a truck on the road.
No way.
You gotta do these things. You gotta do these things.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you going?
I'm not going. No, I'm boring like that, man. I got work to do. I got editing to do. I've got people to contact. I've got stuff to do. So I'm loving it now. I'm actually enjoying it. Now. I've been saying so many people like when I initially started the process, it was like anxiety. It was like fear of being out there. But when I started speaking to people, I was like, there's so much wealth of knowledge out there. And prior to that, I actually enjoyed consuming good content. But now I'm actually speaking to people and they're delivering it to me directly and I'm able to share with others. I'm like, yeah, this is like great stuff. I'm really enjoying the process of learning. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really enjoy it. I don't really see it as a chore anymore. Like I'm excited for it. So
yeah, and I think the beauty of it is if you've got an interest in something, you can just reach out to someone and be like, oh, let me interview them.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I can find out more.
Yeah.
I think it's very clever.
No, definitely. I'm absolutely loving it. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the remainder of my weekend. I might pass through a few little, few little motives here and there. And
easy now.
You know, the most late night I might pass through a few motives, see how it's going. But
a few motives. Easy now.
Yeah. What works you got coming up apart from the book that you can let the people know about?
So I have Feel Loved, which is a workshop where we explore the 6 themes that hurt people in intimate relationships, and that workshop takes place the 28th of September in South Kensington.
I'm gonna get the details for that and pop it on there on the socials.
Make sure. I'm gonna leave you with a flyer.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because everywhere I go, I'm ready.
You're ready now.
Ready.
No worries.
So that's something I'm starting to formulate, which is starting to take the themes that I consistently see again and again in therapy, and bringing it into like a workshop. Because sometimes clients are like, oh my God, how do you know so much? Like, you know me so well. And it's actually because I'm experienced. What it is I see themes now. I see patterns and themes. And so my coach has been really helpful. I have 2 coaches, Helena, in helping me articulate that, put that into a process. I run a pilot group. So Feel Loved it's a great place to start if you've had your mayhem in your intimate relationships and you're just baffled as to how can loving someone hurt me this much. So and as ever I see clients now online, which is happening more so.
I think I might need to come for a session.
Bless you.
Yeah,
well, cool. I mean, me and Alfie did one live. We did it live.
We might have to do one even on Instagram, like, or wherever. I don't mind coming through to your office and doing one live as well. Yeah,
that was really interesting.
Find out what's really going on in the madness.
You know what?
Up here,
it's such an intimate thing. I felt uncomfortable, like, because I'm a very inquisitive person. And people used to tell me I was nosy when I was a child. You see it there now, it's my gift.
That's what you got into.
Yeah, there you go. She's nosy, isn't she? So it was just very interesting to like, I had to like make sure we checked in. At one point we came off camera, which is cool. And we was looking at his relationship with food. And I'd put on one of his posts like, it's not cognitive. Because he's a very cerebral individual. He's very cognitive, very logical. And like, this is emotional. And that's when sometimes being logical about situations, we can get baffled. To why does this keep happening? Why do I keep screwing myself over? So I'm just loving like that kind of creativity. And, I'd love to do more talks. I love speaking to audiences. I did some comedy. And I realize when I'm in groups, I'm very funny, but I think that's because I'm so used to working alone that when I go out with my friends, because it's such a treat. Because I don't have little office politics or banter. So I'm not too sure, but what I would really love to do is to just touch bigger audiences, because when you know that you have a gift and you like I need like. When it drops, it will happen for me. Definitely. And I've grinded for years. My last child is 18, and from she was in the womb, I started to read self-help books when like my relationship with her dad was at its worst. and I've actioned, and I think that's the difference with myself is I take action.
Yeah.
To anybody out there, like, read your self-help books, they're great, but if you're not taking the action that correlates with that, then you're just getting great knowledge. The key is to take the action and let the sweat go down your back into your crack if need be, because you might remember that. But that's the key, is to take the action. And I think that's what's made me stand out. It's what's got me where I've got, is that it wasn't just self-help books. It was like, what if I do that? Then I can take that action. That's what got me to do an access course. That's what got me to uni. That's what got me my job.
Now the business.
And I just like, what next?
Amazing.
Who knows? But we want to take that plane and go to the left, to the left.
No, sick. No, Keeley, I really appreciate that. We're definitely going to catch up again. That was amazing. And I'll definitely want to do a session with you. Even if I'm going to put it on my podcast, on your platform, both. Like, I really want to just... I want to delve into my mind. I want to know what's really happening there, because I think there's a lot of things going on that's been going on. And
you're a sensitive soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, and I'm probably trying to decipher what is that's happening inside my head. So, and what makes me make the decisions I do, and maybe have like the friendships and the relationships that I do have. So, yeah. How can you tell straight away that I'm a sensitive soul? What?
I can feel you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feelings define. So my cognitive description of that might be delayed. Yeah. Because my felt sense is more heightened than my capacity to articulate. What I feel. So sometimes I have this split process. I was talking to my supervisor, Judy Harrison, about this. Sometimes I have a split process going on. My clients are talking to me, I can hear them, but I start to feel them. And my capacity to feel them is stronger than my capacity to hear them.
Yeah.
So then I'll just say that, whatever I say to them, and they'll be like, Yeah.
But then it probably makes sense to them. They're like, okay. Yeah.
Well, then they know their mask is down, because linguistics is also a way to hide. But if I'm not hearing you no more, because my felt senses have taken over, I could feel somebody. And so then, if depending on where I'm at, you know, I just may say, because I might become disconnected from you if I listen to you, because sometimes I'll hear you, but I no longer believe what you're saying. Yeah. Because I could feel you. So I'll be some clients, I'll be like, you're sad. So you're telling me all this stuff, but I'm not out in the matrix. Like
what I'm feeling is completely different to what you're saying.
Yeah, and I trust my feelings. And my daughter's dad's been instrumental to that, because it was years later, he said to me, you used to say things, and he was like, I didn't know how you knew, but you knew. And I'd be like, look, that Lily made me mad.
And it must be scary though, being married to a psychotherapist. It's like, are you constant?
No, I wasn't married to him.
Oh, okay.
No, that was way before. I was way back.
Way
That's
before
20.
the profession. Oh, okay.
Yeah, way back. Well, most definitely, I think dating is a challenge, because, and I'm not analysing people.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
So you have to let the guard down. Like, I had to sort of like cut yourself off from the professional.
I died.
Oh, okay.
You can't really, can you? You work with humans. You can't go. It's not like working with peas, innit? I come out of the pea factory, and then even if you worked in a pea factory and someone put peas on your plate, you're likely to look at the pea and goes, "Oh, there's processed peas."
Yeah.
That's a garden pea. That.
Yeah.
He's just gonna. It's like my dad. He's an electrician.
The skill set's always there.
He goes looking in places. He's always looking at wiring. So it definitely comes. But I think the people who I resonate with the most are people who are comfortable being vulnerable. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, because I'm comfortable being vulnerable as like...
I'll definitely be comfortable putting myself in...
Being open to being vulnerable.
Yeah.
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 I want to see what that experience is like, and just delve into my own head and see what's happening.
See what I want.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Date in the diary.
Date in the diary is done.
Date in the diary.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming down to LetsDoHumans podcast. It's been amazing. I feel like it's definitely different from our first conversation. Our first conversation was me getting to know you a bit better, and then, but like I feel I can definitely sense a element of growth in terms of like this sphere, in terms of like the media sphere between ourselves. Because when you first met me, I was just getting into like the process and the hang of like podcasting, and you've been filming for some while, but I think podcasting was fairly new to yourself. But
yeah, it was a trend that one of the guys I followed on YouTube was talking about, and I was just like, I can't be dealing with bloody doing podcasts.
But then that's the way to share nowadays. I think like people are out here listening, and people are out here watching and viewing and consuming content. So you've got the fantastic knowledge, so it's a good idea
Yeah.
for you to get out there and be sharing that knowledge with as many people as possible.
Well, you rip the audio, you also get video, and
Yeah.
if you transcribe it, you can also get a written piece as well. So
definitely.
it makes sense. It's just as ever the time.
That's the thing.
Time intense.
They talk about time. I've got to head out. So
You
it's
gotta
been an
go.
absolute pleasure, guys.
Look at that, he's running me now.
That's to be done. Keeley, thank you once again.
Hey.
That was amazing.
I can't